Let me show you how to go from that to this. So first things first, let's talk about what's really in a Chips Ahoy cookie. You're not just getting flour, butter, and chocolate chips like a normal cookie. No, you're getting high fructose corn syrup, you are getting artificial flavors, and a whole cocktail of preservatives like sodium metabisulfate. If I'm saying that correct, don't know. But that is part of the problem. Words that you can't pronounce or you have to think twice, of how to pronounce it. That's probably not a good thing to be putting in your body, right? Then there's the partially hydrogenated oils, which are basically trans fats in disguise. Then you add in the synthetic color, the additives, emulsifiers, and of course those lovely shelf stabilizers. And suddenly, that simple cookie is looking more like a science project with over 20 ingredients. But don't worry, I'm going to show you how to go from 23 ingredients to just 8 real ingredients you can actually pronounce, giving you a chewy, buttery, and a chocolate loaded cookie. Let me show you how. All right, we'll start by whisking together our melted butter, brown sugar, and white sugar until smooth. Now, when it comes to the brown sugar, I normally like to make mine from scratch, and it's very simple, easy to do. All you need is about a cup of white sugar and then about 2 to 3 tablespoons of molasses. You just mix it together until it has a crumble, familiar brown sugar texture, and then you are done. It's that easy. So that's a little pro tip. I just make my brown sugar from scratch. That way I can use it as needed. So I know sometimes if you don't use brown sugar a lot, it does tends to dry up on you pretty quickly. So this is a pro tip of what I like to do to help preserve that sugar as well. Adding the eggs as well as the vanilla. Just make sure with the eggs you add them one at a time. Like I say, we want a smooth, light and creamy texture here. And also another key point with the melted butter. I know most people may think, well, normally use just soft room temperature butter to make cookies, but in this case, when we do the melted butter, it's going to help provide and give us that chewy texture that we are seeking as well. So that's a little pro tip you can use on why we're going to use the melted butter, is to help preserve that chewy texture, which is what we want to go for. Now, I went ahead and already mixed my dry ingredients, but the mix consists of all-purpose flour, baking soda, cornstarch, and salt. So the reason why we use the cornstarch is going to give our cookies that soft bite chew that we're going for with that Chips Ahoy chewy texture. So you want to make sure you mix it all together before adding it into your wet mixture. And then once we mix the dry and the wet ingredients together, now we're going to fold in the chocolate chips. And make sure when you fold the chocolate chips, what I like to do as well is, after I mix the flour in, when it's about, I would say probably 3/4 are almost blended together, I add the chocolate chips in at that time, because we don't want to overwork the dough. We don't want to develop that gluten. That's not what we're looking for. So it's going to help keep your batter from getting over mixed, as we are going for that nice chewy texture. So going on to the next stage. Now I know at this stage right here, this is when most people will put the cookies on the pan, throw it in an oven, but we're gonna hold off on that for now, because what's very important by this recipe is that you must refrigerate your dough for at least bare minimum 30 minutes. Now I end up resting mine for about 60 minutes or an hour, but if you are in a crunch, you don't have a whole lot of time, at least let it rest for 30 minutes minimum, because this is going to help that flour hydrate, and then as you bake it, your cookies will not spread. Because let's say if you were to just throw them in the oven as soon as you made the dough, the batter itself is going to spread as you bake it, and then you're going to have kind of those what I call kind of swamp cookies where they're all over the place, all out of shape, just a big mess, which is what you don't want. So it's very important that you refrigerate your dough for at least minimum of 30 minutes. And we're gonna cook these cookies at 350 for about 10 to 12 minutes. Now, when I say you cook for 10 to 12 minutes, time is kind of like a guidance for you when it comes to the recipe. You also want to make sure you look at, how does it look? You want to make sure the edges of the cookie is lightly brown, because we're going to be slightly undercooking these cookies because they're going to continue to have to cook over time as we take them out of the oven and as they start to cool down and sit. And now for the taste test. See the break, nice and soft, nice and gooey. And it's hot. But you see, it's so easy to make these cookies from home without all the preservatives, and it's just natural, wholesome ingredients. So if you guys enjoy what you see, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below. What's your favorite version of the chocolate chip cookie? Or if you have some ideas of what you'd like to see me do next. Once again, this is Snackable Treats. We're out.